Hello, welcome back again to Bridging and Learning Worlds, a space where ordinary moments can lead us to extraordinary lessons. Today, I brought a gift, and I want to begin with one question regarding this gift. And my question is this: when we teach our children our language, what exactly are we giving them? Are we giving them words, vocabulary, grammar, maybe another language they can maybe someday add to their resume? Or are we giving them something more? Perhaps we are giving them access to a grandmother's story, to a grandfather's jokes, or to their ancestors' ways of being or living through language. Or even thinking about a joke that does not really quite make sense when translated. Or we are giving them a song, a prayer, an oriki, or even memory. Maybe we are also giving them that gift because of the need to foster relationship with people and places they may live thousands of miles away from. And that question goes again. What exactly are we giving them when we give them language? For me, that question became very important to me. And eventually, it led me to the concept of bùnlingualism. Bùnlingualism. Ebun is a Yoruba word and it means gift. Just the way I started that I have gift for us. Ebun means gift. And for me, conceptualizing ebunlingualism took me back to when I started thinking about the language practices of African and African diasporic families. I kept noticing something. And what I was noticing was that parents were not just saying, I want my child to know more vocabulary in relation to my language. Their desires were often much more bigger than that. And they wanted their children to communicate with relatives, to remain connected, to know where they come from, and also even thinking more about having the language for their religious lives. As they give this gift of language, sometimes parents also mentioned that they wanted children to have access to English because English could create educational and economic opportunities. And some are even adding Chinese now, some are adding Spanish, German, depending on where they are, including French. And at the same time, they might also want those children to carry their native languages along with them, what we also call heritage language, which could include Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Tree, or even think more about Fulfude, think more about Arabic and other languages that they speak. So, all these languages, one thing that is important is it connects them to home. And so, language was doing many things at once. And that made me to go further to ask, what happens if instead of beginning with language as something children must master, we begin with language as something people give, receive, carry, reshape, and sometimes pass forward, right? And that is where ebunlingualism begins. Now, when I say language is a gift, I don't mean that language is simply a beautiful package that adults hand to children and say, here, take this. Mm-mm. Gifting is relational. A gift connects the giver and the receiver. And importantly, the person giving a gift does not you know, completely control what the receiver will do with it, which means that you can give me the gift, I can accept it wholeheartedly, do whatever you want with it, and I can decide not to use it. For instance, you give me a jewelry, I may choose to wear it, I may choose to like regift it or just keep it at home. And as we think about that is, hmm, you may give somebody a book and you hope they read it. Maybe they read it immediately, maybe they read it tomorrow, maybe 5 years later, the book is still lying on the shelf, or they give it to somebody else, like the example I gave about the jewelry. Maybe they don't even value it today and eventually understand its importance much later. Just like the example of jewelry and the example of book as gifts, language can work like that too. A parent may speak Yoruba to a child and the child answers in English. Does that mean the gift has failed? I don't think so. And this is where one part of bùnlingualism becomes especially important to me. And that is in connection with what I call delayed gift reciprocity. Delayed gift reciprocity. As I think about delayed gift reciprocity, I am reminded of this song that uh, I grew up learning and still hear it a lot, which is ìdí tí mo fi ń ṣọmọ mi gẹ́gẹ́gẹ́ tèmi yé mi o. Ìdí tí mo fi ń ṣọmọ mi gẹ́gẹ́gẹ́ tèmi yé mi. Tíṣu ọmọ bá jiná kó má má jó mi lẹ́nu o. Táyà ọmọ bá wọlé kó má má lé mi síta o. Tọkọ ọmọ bá wọlé kó má má lé mi síta o. Ìdí tí mo ṣe ń ṣọmọ mi gẹ́gẹ́gẹ́ tèmi yé mi. Kúlú sọ, abiyamọ fẹ̀yìn sọ. In thinking about this song, it reflects something which is deeply intergenerational. Parents invest care, time, labor, and love in children. But that also raises a difficult question. When we give something to children, what do we expect back? If I speak my language to a child, must that child immediately respond in the same language for me to consider my effort successful? I'm speaking Yoruba to my child, and the child decides to respond in English or even with gestures. Does that mean I am a failure? Or does that mean my effort is not successful? Bùnlingualism asks us to be careful here. The gift of language should not become language policing. It should not become, I spoke Yoruba to you, so you must answer me in Yoruba. I spoke Spanish to you, you must answer me in Spanish. Or if you speak English, you have disappointed me. Children participate in their own linguistic worlds. They make choices, they understand contexts, and they may use one language with grandmother, another at school, another with grandfather, another with friends. In fact, several of all these things together, they just use somewhere else. So delayed gift reciprocity asks us to let love, care, relationship, and affect take precedence over punishment and reward. The relationship may still be developing, which means language may be developing in the different contexts that they use it, and the children may return the gift in ways we did not predict or may not even reciprocate it at all or return it. Bùnlingualism tells us to be mindful of policing care, love, affect should lead. So, there is another important question that bùnlingualism asks us, and that is who gives the gift of language? Bùnlingualism asks us to reconsider who or what counts as family. In many discussions of family language policy, we imagine a mother, a father, and children living together in one household, and at times we think about the extended family giving the gift of language. But that doesn't really describe many African words. There is a Yoruba idea that matters, and that is agbolé, agbolé, agbolé. So it is showing the other way around, but I would fix that. So agbolé. An agbolé is more than a physical compound. It represents a way of understanding family and responsibility collectively, communal effort. Thinking about aunties, uncles, grandparents, older siblings, and even community elders. Remember, I said, okay, we can still say extended family, but community elders do not necessarily have to be part of extended family. And sometimes, even someone who is not biologically related to you, but is part of the community caring for the child, which means many eyes, many relationships, many voices, and all of them can participate in giving language. Remember also, it takes the village to raise a child. Now, let's look at this. This is my phone, right? We are not thinking about even the role of migration, right? Migration has not completely ended that, like it has not ended the role of agbolé. A grandmother may now be thousands of miles away, but she can send a WhatsApp voice note. An uncle can call, a cousin can tell a story over the video. An online heritage language teacher can become part of that child's linguistic world. So perhaps family language does not belong only inside one house. Sometimes language travels across an agbolé that now stretches across countries and screens. So in my box again is, we took out agbolé. Another question that also comes from my gift is, must one language always win? For many multilingual people, that question doesn't even reflect everyday life. A child may need English in school, Yoruba with an elder, Pidgin or Creole with cousins, Arabic in a religious setting, and perhaps several others in those places in one conversation. Our languages do not always live in separate boxes. They form constellations. Different languages become more visible depending on where we are, who we are speaking with, and what we are trying to do. I know we talk about translanguaging, yes, and there's a layer of dominant language constellation, which I will come back to. But what our name reminds us of is that languages that are activated depends on context. That's by Aronin and Lobianco. So which language is the child really speaking? As we think about different languages become more visible depending on where we are, who we are speaking with, and what we are trying to do. Bùnlingualism therefore does not ask which language is the child really speaking. Bùnlingualism asks us to notice how children activate the languages available to them in particular context. So success is not necessarily linguistic purity. Success might be connection, participation, belonging, knowing when, why, and with whom a particular way of speaking matters. But as we think about that, it's a reminder that language carries power. And the thinking about this is the possibilities. And this is where I don't want the word gift to become too romantic. Language do not exist outside history. And what do I mean by that? Parent knows this. A parent in Nigeria may deliberately give a child English because English carries educational, professional, and economic possibilities. A diaspora parent may deliberately give a child Yoruba because that child is already surrounded by English and the parent fears losing a connection to ancestry, family, and home. Those choices happened within histories of colonialism, migration, class, and even inequity, inequality. So language can carry capital, but language is more than capital. Inside my box, so you see, inside this box, inside this box of possibilities, inside this box of possibilities may also be belonging, memory, survival, relationship, identity, care, and the ability to participate in worlds that might otherwise become inaccessible. Bùnlingualism asks us to hold all of those completely together. So, what is bùnlingualism really asking us to do? So, what is bùnlingualism really asking us to do? For me, Ebunlingualism is not simply another way of saying teach children their heritage language. It asks us to consider much more. It is asking us to reconsider much more. Who counts as family? Who has the authority to give language? And how do children receive and reshape what adults give? Which languages become valuable in particular spaces? What histories shape those choices? And what happens when we stop measuring multilingual success only through proficiency and begin noticing connections among people, noticing participation in how language is being used, and thinking about care, inheritance, and belonging as possibilities? That is the conversation I hope bilingualism opens. Not a finished answer, an invitation to think about language as connectedness, as care, as an embodiment, as fostering connections, and thinking about should those gifts be received? How are they received? Or even delayed gift reciprocity. That is the conversation I hope bilingualism opens. Not a finished answer, an invitation to think about language as connectedness, as care, as an embodiment, as fostering connections, and thinking about should those gifts be received? How are they received? Or even delayed gift reciprocity. So I want to leave with the question I began with. When we teach our children our language, what exactly are we giving them? Perhaps a word, reading, song, or even access to people they love, or even a way of understanding something about themselves. Perhaps possibilities we cannot yet see. And maybe the child will receive that gift, reshape it, carry it differently, and someday pass something forward. Hmm. So this week on episode 8, and even going forward, think about a language in your life. Who gave it to you? What came with it? And perhaps most importantly, What are you doing with that gift now? Thank you so much for spending these few minutes with me. And this is Bridging Our Learning Worlds, where ordinary moments continue to offer us extraordinary lessons. I'll see you in next episode. I hope you all get to make sense of the different gifts that we have. Thank you. I salute you now.